1 hour a day. That's all it takes. Not a massive overhaul, not a complete reinvention overnight. Just one focused, consistent hour where you decide to show up for your future. 1 hour where you stop reacting to life and start intentionally building the life you want. It's not about time. It's about commitment. It's about deciding that you matter enough to invest in, that your growth, your health, your peace, your skills, your vision, they're worth 60 minutes of your day. Consistency is what quietly builds the life most people only dream about. It doesn't demand applause, it doesn't rely on motivation, it isn't flashy or impressive in the moment, but over time it creates results that intensity alone never could. The world celebrates the big moments, the overnight success, the dramatic transformation, the powerful comeback. But behind every one of those moments is a long string of ordinary, repeated actions that no one saw. It's not about what you can do once with passion. It's about what you can do every day with discipline. Intensity burns fast. It surges with emotion, fueled by adrenaline or frustration or excitement. You might have a day where you go all in, work nonstop, push yourself, do everything at once. But if that level of effort isn't sustainable, it fades. The crash comes, and with it the feeling of failure or burnout. Intensity gives you a burst, consistency gives you a foundation. When you show up daily, even in small ways, you prove to yourself that your commitment is stronger than your mood, your excuses, or your distractions. Success isn't built in a day, it's built day by day. It's waking up and doing the work even when it's not glamorous. It's honoring your routines even when no one's watching. It's trusting that repetition sharpens skill, strengthens character, and builds momentum. Every workout, every journal entry, every hour spent learning or building or creating adds up. And that steady repetition doesn't just change your outcomes, it changes who you are. You become the kind of person who follows through, the kind of person who finishes, the kind of person who doesn't need to prove anything with intensity because they've already built everything with consistency. When you're consistent, you don't need to rely on willpower. You've created structure. You've trained your mind and body to show up without negotiation. It becomes part of you. Habits become identity. What once felt hard becomes automatic. You stop questioning if you're going to keep going because the answer is already decided. You are. The most effective people in the world aren't necessarily the most talented or the most inspired. They are the most consistent. They focus on doing a few things well repeatedly over time. They stay the course when others quit. They trust the process when results are still invisible. They understand that mastery doesn't come from intensity, it comes from showing up when it's boring, when it's inconvenient, when no one else would. That is what separates growth from stagnation. That is what builds excellence. The good news is you don't need to do everything at once. You don't need to have massive days of productivity to be successful. You just need to do something every day. A small action, a step forward, something that aligns with the person you're becoming. And if you repeat that over and over, you will not be the same person 6 months from now. You won't just have new results. You'll have a new level of self-trust, a new identity built on quiet discipline and unwavering follow-through. Let others chase intensity. Let them burn out chasing the next big thing. You focus on consistency. That's where the real power is. Because when you learn to show up daily, especially when it's hard, you unlock a kind of strength that can't be faked or forced. You earn the transformation you're after, one quiet, repeated effort at a time. Small actions often appear insignificant in the moment, but they hold the greatest potential for transformation. One tiny habit, one focused hour, one honest decision, one promise kept to yourself. These are the building blocks of real change. The mind is wired to seek big wins and dramatic shifts. We want fast progress, instant results, and visible proof that our efforts matter. But the truth is, sustainable success isn't created through rare bursts of greatness. It's built through consistent, almost invisible steps that stack up over time and multiply quietly. It's easy to overlook small actions because they don't feel impressive. Writing one paragraph a day doesn't seem like writing a book. Saving a few dollars daily doesn't feel like building wealth. Taking a short walk doesn't feel like getting fit. But all great outcomes begin this way: humble, unnoticed, and patient. When you repeat a small, meaningful behavior long enough, it compounds. Not just in results, but in identity. You start to become someone who creates, who saves, who moves, who shows up. The compound effect works like interest in a bank. It might not seem like much at first. In fact, it feels like nothing is happening. That's only because the results are delayed. Under the surface, momentum is building. You're becoming more focused, more resilient, more aligned. You're training your mind to value discipline over motivation. You're learning to trust yourself again, one small win at a time. Then one day, the results become visible. The book is written. The account grows, the body changes, the mind sharpens. People call it sudden success, but you know it wasn't sudden at all. It was earned through countless tiny efforts that no one saw. Small actions also lower the barrier to entry. When you set a goal that feels overwhelming, the brain resists. But when you break it down into the smallest possible step, you create motion. You quiet the fear. You remove the excuses. It's hard to commit to perfection, but it's easy to commit to progress. A few minutes of effort today is always better than hours of effort never started. And once you begin, momentum takes over. Movement leads to motivation. Confidence builds. What felt difficult yesterday becomes routine tomorrow. Consistency in small actions also builds trust with yourself. Every time you do what you said you would, no matter how small, you send a message to your subconscious: I keep my promises, I follow through, I can count on me. That kind of internal trust is more powerful than external validation. It anchors you. It strengthens your mindset. It creates a quiet confidence that doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. You just have to choose one small action and do it every day. Read a page, meditate for 5 minutes, write a single idea, move your body, drink water, reflect, create, learn, lead, build, repeat. These actions don't just add up, they multiply. They reshape your habits, your beliefs, your standards, and over time, they reshape your life. Greatness isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things consistently, especially when it's inconvenient. It's about trusting the compound effect of small steps, knowing they're taking you somewhere meaningful, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. Small actions compound. That's not just a productivity principle, it's a way of life. One step forward every day is enough, and one day you'll look back and realize how far you've come because of it. Time is the most honest reflection of what truly matters to you. Regardless of what you say your goals or values are, the way you spend your hours reveals the truth. Everyone gets the same 24 hours in a day, yet the outcomes vary drastically depending on how those hours are invested. Your calendar is not just a schedule, it's a mirror. If something matters, it shows up there. If it doesn't, excuses tend to take its place. You can't claim health is a priority and never make time to move your body. You can't say your dream is to build something meaningful and spend most of your time scrolling, pleasing others, or avoiding discomfort. Time doesn't lie. There's a silent power in becoming conscious of how your time is spent. When you begin to track your hours, even loosely, patterns emerge. You'll start to see how much time is consumed by distractions, how often avoidance masquerades as productivity, and how easy it is to lose entire days to habits that do nothing to move you forward. But instead of feeling guilt, there's opportunity in that awareness, because once you see where your time goes, you can start to take it back. You can realign your actions with your true intentions. You can make adjustments that shift everything. Clarity is key. Most people feel overwhelmed, not because they have too much to do, but because they aren't clear on what matters most. Without clear priorities, everything feels urgent, and distractions win. But when you know your non-negotiables, what truly deserves your time, saying no becomes easier. You stop wasting energy on things that don't align with your values or vision. You create boundaries around your time like a skilled architect designing a strong foundation. You stop trying to please everyone and start choosing purpose over popularity. Protecting your time isn't selfish, it's necessary. People will always ask for more of it. The world is full of noise and demands, but nobody else will guard your schedule with your best interests in mind. That's your job. And when you take it seriously, everything shifts. You become intentional. You wake up with direction. You stop being busy and start being effective. It's not about cramming more into your day. It's about doing less of what doesn't matter and more of what does. That's how you create real progress, not just motion. What do you give your time to, you give your life to. So each choice to focus, to create, to rest with purpose, to invest in growth, to build something meaningful, it all adds up. And equally, each unconscious hour given to distractions, overthinking, or people-pleasing also compounds. That's the hard truth. Time is always passing. You can't control that. But you can control how it's spent. Distraction is the enemy of progress, and yet it's never been more present or persistent. Every day, attention is pulled in 100 directions. Notifications, opinions, temptations, noise. The world rewards speed and stimulation, but not depth. It thrives on keeping you reactive, not reflective. And that's why focus is now a superpower. The ability to concentrate fully on one task, one mission, one idea is the difference between a scattered existence and a meaningful, impactful life. Focus is a choice. It's not always easy, but it is always possible. It starts by recognizing the cost of distraction. Each interruption seems small, even harmless. A scroll here, a text there, a glance at the news, but it fragments the mind. It breaks the rhythm. It drains the energy needed for deep work and true creativity. And what's lost is not just time, but momentum. Every distraction resets your brain's ability to think clearly and powerfully. Hours slip away, chasing things that don't matter. Meanwhile, what does matter waits in silence. The most successful people in any field are not those with more talent or resources, but those who have mastered the discipline of focus. They decide what matters and build their lives around it. They say no more than they say yes. They don't chase every opportunity because they understand that focus creates impact, and impact comes from sustained attention on what truly matters. They don't multitask their dreams. They single task with intensity and purpose. But focus isn't just about cutting distractions. It's about fueling attention with meaning. It's easier to stay locked in when you're working on something that matters to you. Passion and purpose are natural amplifiers of focus. When you know your why, staying focused on the how becomes a lot easier. That's why clarity is essential. Without a clear vision, your focus will constantly be hijacked by the immediate, the urgent, or the entertaining. To cultivate focus, you have to train for it. It's a mental muscle, and like any muscle, it grows through consistent, intentional use. Start small. Set a timer and work on one thing without interruption. Gradually increase that time. Notice the resistance that comes up, boredom, restlessness, the urge to check your phone, and learn to sit with it. Learn to override it. That's where your strength is built. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be committed. Structure your environment to support focus. Remove temptations. Create boundaries around your time and space. Let people know when you're in deep work mode. Focus is not just about willpower, it's also about systems. Make it easier to do what matters and harder to do what doesn't. Build rituals around your focus time. protect it like your future depends on it, because it does. Focus also means being present. You can't give your full energy to anything if your mind is always elsewhere. Whether you're building a business, having a conversation, or spending time with yourself, presence is the highest form of focus. It's also the greatest gift you can offer to others and to your own goals. Distraction steals presence, and presence is where real life happens. Well, you practice focus, the more you'll feel in control. You'll stop being pulled by every external force and start leading yourself with intention. You'll realize that the clarity, peace, and progress you're chasing have always been within reach. They were just buried under the noise. And as you sharpen your focus, the noise fades. What matters comes into view. What doesn't falls away. That's when things start to move. That's when your life starts to align. Not because you did more, but because you focused on less, on what matters most. Change is not something that drifts in with time or falls into place by accident. It begins the moment you make a decision. One clear, firm, internal commitment can redirect the entire course of your life. Not a wish, not a vague intention, but a real decision. A line drawn in the sand that says, this ends here and something better begins now. Many people wait for the right conditions before they commit to change. They wait for motivation, for signs, for the perfect time. But the truth is, change doesn't wait. It responds to clarity. It responds to the moment you decide that you've had enough of staying stuck, enough of shrinking, enough of giving your energy to things that no longer serve you. That decision is the spark. Without it, all the knowledge, advice, and plans in the world mean nothing. The power of a decision lies in its simplicity. It doesn't require a complete roadmap or a flawless strategy. It just requires resolve. It requires honesty. The most powerful decision is often the quietest, made alone, without fanfare, in a moment of deep truth with yourself. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You need to choose who you want to be and back it with action day by day. Once the decision is made, everything shifts. Your focus changes. Your priorities realign. Distractions lose their appeal, and excuses start to feel heavy instead of comforting. You become more aware of your habits, your patterns, and your daily choices. That awareness is the beginning of transformation. It's no longer about reacting to life. It's about creating it. You're no longer asking life to change for you. You're showing life that you're ready to change for it. The real change doesn't come from emotion. It comes from commitment. Feelings are fleeting, and waiting to feel ready is one of the greatest traps. If you rely on emotion to drive change, you'll start strong and quit fast. But if you anchor your decision in values, in who you want to become, and what kind of life you want to build, that decision holds steady, even when it's uncomfortable, even when progress is slow, even when no one is watching. That first decision sets a new standard. It forces you to start choosing differently. You begin showing up for yourself in new ways. And that consistency, even if imperfect, builds momentum. Change is rarely loud or dramatic. It's often subtle. It's waking up 10 minutes earlier, saying no when you used to say yes. Reaching for your goals instead of your excuses. Speaking kindly to yourself instead of tearing yourself down. Choosing discipline over comfort. And what starts as a decision becomes a new identity. You're no longer someone who tries, you're someone who decides and follows through. That identity becomes self-reinforcing. The more aligned your actions become, the more confidence you gain, and with confidence your vision expands. You stop settling, you stop apologizing, you stop tolerating what's beneath your worth. There's no perfect time to begin, only a powerful choice to no longer remain where you are. The decision to change doesn't guarantee ease, but it guarantees movement. And that movement unlocks possibilities that used to feel out of reach. Everything begins to shift, not overnight, but consistently. You don't need to predict how everything will unfold. You just need to decide that where you are is not where you'll stay. And with that decision, a new chapter begins, not by chance, but by choice. You don't need to be perfect to start. You don't need to have every answer, every plan laid out, or every flaw erased before you take the next step. All you need is commitment. The idea that you must be perfect before you're worthy of progress is a lie that keeps too many people frozen in place. Perfection is an illusion that stalls action, but commitment is the force that transforms lives.